Welcome to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast, where we provide constant improvement to businesses through timely, actionable financial solutions. Do you want answers to your financial questions? Email us at bsp@kaizencpas.com. I'm your host, Mark Valesky. Now let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Kaizen Time. I'm joined by Brian Bride, Director of Payroll Operations. Brian, you've been here for a while now. How many handbooks have you worked on?
So for like internally, we've done 3, right? So
And how often are you changing those?
the handbooks get changed about once a year.
Okay. And those go in line with company policy, right? Internal.
Correct. So really, when your handbook is about how your company operates. So it's we changed the PTO policy internally in Kaizen a couple of years ago. So when we did that, we had to program the HRIS to do it, and then we have to tell the employees, here's how it's going to work now. So when that kind of stuff changes, that's when you need to update your handbook to tell everybody, hey, our policy changed. Here's how it works now.
And this is different than notices. That's the stuff that you see in the lunchroom. That's like, hey, if you're not doing X, Y, Z, here's why.
Right. Yeah. So the notices are more like the legal rights or like what the government requirements are for the business. Those would be like minimum wage, FMLA, OSHA, unemployment, workers' comp, and it has like a whole bunch of agencies. So even though it's all kind of under Department of Labor, but like OSHA is under Department of Labor, but they're different than like the people that do unemployment compensation, right? Yep. So you can have a time where like it could change. You could have 3 in a month, right? You could have a different notice because something changed, right? You could have OSHA change the rule, then you need a new notice. Then, maybe the minimum wage changed, right? So like in Illinois, maybe you have a location in Springfield and in Chicago. The minimum wage changes in Illinois on 1/1 and in Chicago 7/1. So you could have 2 minimum wage changes and then you need 2 different posters when they come in.
So what I'm surmising is that notices change sometimes very often and then other times not at all.
Correct.
You could have the same notice for 10 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, you're in federal minimum wage. When's the last time that changed? Right.
Good point.
It's been forever. So that federal minimum wage poster more than likely is still compliant, even though you've changed all the other posters in your lunchroom.
So if I am a small business, how should I handle constantly updating this? Because I would say legally you have to have them both up to date.
Yeah. So you really want to use the tools that most vendors have. So we use a third-party tool for the handbook. So it's all self-service, so you can do it yourself. You can enter in anything you want. You enter in your like message from the owner, all your PTO policies and things, so that you can send it out electronically to your employees. So use that to manage it, because if a policy changes, allow them to update it automatically. So for instance, there's a new maternity policy in Illinois, right? And so that was July 1st. So if you have set up and you're using the software, when that policy changes, the software makers will update the policy and then they'll update your handbook if you use the generic like language. So it was it's either maternity or it might be like feeding the baby, right? So whatever that policy had just changed for July, you need a new notification, right? So you need a new poster for that, and you want to update your handbook if you qualify, right? Because sometimes it's under 5 employees, you don't need to do anything. So all those things, if you use the software, it will update for you when you hit something, right? And then you customize like your PTO policy, right? So Illinois, you have to give paid leave. But if you give more paid leave than the regular policy, you still qualify, right? So you need to update that if you decide, like us, we decided to go from, accruing at the beginning of the year to per payroll, right? So that's how you kind of report that kind of stuff.
So just want to be clear on this. Yeah. So you have these documents that are already set up with the templates that the software provides. And if there are changes, it automatically has the functionality to just put it right into the book. So, hey, new employee started. Oh, law changed, but they're already getting the appropriate thing.
Yep.
Brian, I love asking you about consequences.
Yes.
So, and there's always consequences.
Yes.
So let's get into that. Like, obviously these are probably done by the state, more than likely. What are some of the consequences where people be looking at?
Well, so if you're an employee and you need, FMLA and they don't honor that, that's thousands and thousands of dollars if they don't honor the FMLA. Now, if you're an employee, how do you know that's what the notification is for, right? So if it's in the lunchroom, you can see it and you can read it and say, hey, somebody told me FMLA, my buddy said, hey, you might be eligible. So you could, HR or the posters up there so you can read it to be like, all right, here's what they have to do for me. Right. So, if you don't, Department of Labor has very many for like minimum wage. Those are huge things. You have to make the money up. We have a lot of restaurants and tips and overtime is a big deal. Right. If you Google, you always see restaurants that like get sued because they didn't provide minimum wage because they weren't giving enough back in tips.
Okay.
Or somebody didn't work, and then that's always like 3 times the amount. Right. So if over a year you underpaid the team $50,000, that's $150,000 you have to pay to get it up. Right. So go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and these consequences, are these like daily are they paying fines daily, monthly?
They can, depending on what it is. Yeah.
Just for not putting up a sign in the lunchroom or not updating your manual. That is pretty hefty fine for something that is, I don't want to say trivial, but what I'm saying is something that can be fixed quite easily.
Yes.
And
yes.
in this case, it's automated.
Right. So like the posters, there's a lot of poster companies out there where you contract with them and they track it for you and they send you in the poster updates.
Oh, so you can get like a subscription to, legally required signs.com or whatever.
Yeah. And somebody we're going to partner with towards the end of the year, they have one for remote employees it's zip code specific.
Oh,
so think about a remote employee, right? They're not coming in a lunchroom. Mm-hmm. Where you still have to give them a handbook to read. That's why you want electronic. You'll still have to give them posters. You still have to give them the notifications. Right. So
what they do with it is up to them, but they have to be given it.
Right. So, I don't know how many people are remote, like on their website, they have all the notifications and by zip code. Right. So, we're a company that has people in multiple states. So we have multiple versions of handbooks. And if you're in California, you get a different version than Wisconsin. Right. Because because you get the different notifications. And so the services that give you the posters, they have online where you put on your HR page, here's your link to your posters, and it's by zip code. So it's super specific. If you're in California, right? California has so many different, they change their minimum wage all the time. They have a state minimum wage. They even have city minimum wages, just like Chicago. So think about somebody in California, let's say your company, you hire, a programmer to work on a system for you, but you're headquartered in Illinois. You don't have everybody's in Illinois. They come in and they work. You don't have the California expertise because you have, 15 people in your company, right? So with that service, you can just with zip code in. Okay, here's all your notices. Boom, I'm compliant. There's no problem there. So
that's a huge peace of mind too.
Yes,
a lot of these, again, you're trying to find a certain skill set, and the people who do that may only exist in Texas or Florida or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and in those situations, which I guess law takes priority. So let's say, hey, in Tennessee, you have to get 14 days of vacation, and then Illinois, they say it's 12. What's the superseding law?
It's where you work. Okay. So if you have remote employees, you might have different PTO policies, right? Mm-hmm. And so you also have to treat employees as a group. So you can't be like, well, this guy's got different, right? So if that
makes it a real challenge,
right? So
treat them all evenly.
Exactly. So like if you have manufacturing in 2 different states, you can treat the groups as individual groups, right? So the manufacturing in Illinois and one in Tennessee could have slightly different benefits or different time off, but you couldn't be like, well, this guy, Tennessee has less. I'm just going to do less in Illinois. You can't do that. You have to treat them as a group and do all the rules for the jurisdiction that you're in. Right. So, Tennessee doesn't have a sick leave policy, right? Illinois does. So Illinois you don't need to give the ones in Tennessee. You probably do to keep employees around, but you don't have to because it's not mandated. But in Illinois it is. So that's why you need two different versions of the handbook. You don't want to give your Tennessee employees, here's all your time off. And when they take it, you say, no, you don't get it. They go, it's in the handbook. Then you're done. Right. Cause that's what supersedes everything, like what you have in there, what your policies are. So,
okay. Anything else that we're missing?
It's like, use the tools, right? The tools are there. Every vendor has them.
And it doesn't cost you anything extra, I guess, aside from the initial subscription cost.
Right. So depending on, where you're at, they might charge different fees, but for a fine that might be $150,000, if you spend $50 a month, that's a really great savings.
It is quite a savings.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yep.
You've been listening to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave a 5-star review. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen CPAs Plus Advisors, providing advisory and accounting services to help you grow your business. Learn more at kaizencpas.com or email us at bsb@kaizencpas.com.